Hello, this is How To Bob, and in this video I'm going to show you how to adjust the wastegate on a 2013 Dodge Dart. We'll need a few tools before we get started: a 10mm socket and wrench, a 13mm socket, a flat blade screwdriver, a pair of needle nose or pliers, and some penetrating oil. So we're going to start out by opening the hood, and we'll put the prop rod up there, and you see it has a cover over the engine here. And we're going to take that off using the 10mm socket. There's two bolts holding the cover on. Once we get those off, we can lift the cover right up and off the engine, and you can see where we're going to be working right here. These are the bolts that we're going to need to remove, so we'll take those off. Now once we get all three of these nuts off here, we can take the heat shield off. Just loosen this last one here, and the heat shield should just lift right up. And then the next thing I'm going to do here is spray some penetrating oil on this front bolt while I'm working on the other ones. Just give it a minute to work in. And these are the 13mm socket is what we use on this one. The reason I'm using some penetrating oil on the front one is that's connected to where it heats up the most, so it probably will be the most difficult one to remove. Okay, once I get this last bolt out, I go ahead and remove the plate. And then there is another cover that I need to remove, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts that'll need to be removed here. Now you'll notice on this last one here that the stud came out instead of the nut coming off of the stud. That's not a problem. I'll just remember which one it went to and replace it in the same hole when we go to put it back on. Now I can remove this cover, and that exposes the turbo and the actuator and my wastegate and all the good stuff I need to work on now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is put a little rag or towel underneath the linkage just to protect from losing. There's a little clip that typically will fall out, so by putting this towel under here, when I remove the clip, if I happen to drop it, it'll catch the clip. So hopefully I don't drop it, and it looks like I have it. Here's the little clip. So I'm done with the towel. I can go ahead and remove the towel now, and now I can disconnect the linkage. I'm going to loosen up my adjustment locking nut here with the 10mm socket, and then I'm going to disconnect my linkage from the gate, and you can see how it goes back and forth, and it's a little bit of pressure. So what I'm going to do now is loosen up my linkage until it's at the 0 point. The 0 point is when it slides on without having to pull on it at all. So once I get it to my 0 point, then I can tighten it up. Each turn is 1 millimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this 6 times, 6 complete turns, so that'll be 6 millimeters of force here. And then I have to pull it over to get it to go on the gate, and I use the needle nose pliers then for that to pull it over. Once I got it on there, I can go ahead and put my clip back in place. First I want to lock the locking nut in with my 10mm wrench. Then I can take my clip and put it back in place. Just make sure it's snug on there. Factory settings usually about 1.5 millimeters So we've just adjusted it up to 6 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and reverse the process. I want to make sure I use the one with the stud that was on the bolt here, the bolt and the nut together, and I'll go ahead and tighten those down and just reverse the process. Put the nut on this stud here and tighten that down and work my way around this cover. Got a few bolts up here to put in and another one here. Now this should give us more response with the wastegate being set a little differently than factory. So you can play with it. You can do a little less, but I'd start out a little lower maybe and work your way up. And we're going to put all the bolts back in, put the plate back on, and go ahead and tighten all the bolts back up. This is a 13 millimeter I'm using on that one. And then I put my heat shield on and tighten that up with the 10 millimeter socket. Once I get that all tightened up, all that's left to do is put the engine cover back on, and that kind of snaps into place. And then I put my two 10 millimeter bolts back in place, and that's how you adjust the wastegate on a 2013 Dodge Dart. This is How To Bob. Thanks for watching.